So hello everyone and welcome to this new video about the third part of the basics of Python and Streamlit. So as you have seen on the first one, we have done some quick practices displaying things with Streamlit and Python, okay? And then there was the integration, okay? On the second part, we have made a calculator, okay? And after the calculator, we have made the second degree function call, okay? So I have done that on the first, and the second, on the first and the second, and on the third, we are going to do more practices. So let's continue on the seventh practice. So it is asked to write a program that would find the smallest and the biggest number in an array of one dimension. Okay, the length of the array could be any. The array contains float, so this is a note. Take into consideration the empty array. So this problem is very basic and it doesn't need a lot of things to know about Python instrument. It is only the application, okay? So let's see the solution over here. So here is the array that has been given to us. This is the array. So now we need to find the smallest and the biggest number. So 25 is the biggest and smallest and minus 1. So here I've displayed the smallest number of the array is minus 1 and the biggest number is 25. So before I give you the solution, try to make a solution on your own because this one over here is extremely basic, it's very easy to understand and to implement. And now let's get into the solution. So at the beginning, I've stored an array, the array into an array, okay? It's a variable called array, okay? And then I defined a function. If you are not familiar with function, maybe on the future I will make a video about them. So this is the function on Python, okay? So it takes as an argument the array. So the array is sent to as an argument to this function. So if the length of the array isn't equal to 0, okay? So there is number on the array because as you can see here, I've wrote take into consideration the empty array. So I've took that into consideration. If the length of the array is different than 0, then the smallest, I've put the smallest number as the first element of the array and the biggest as the first element of the array because an array starts with the number 0, okay? So I've put the two variables as array 0 as the small and the big number, and then else if the length of the array isn't equal to 0, and else return the array is empty, okay? So as you can see here, let's try it. Let's try it. So here I will give an empty array, okay? So let's do that. Not refresh it. So as you can see here, the array is empty. It wrote for me here, the array is empty. So let's change it back and save it. And now we have our array back, okay? So when there is an empty array, it will display this message, the array is empty. If there is an array, it's not empty, it will display for us the array, okay? This is not a big thing, okay? This is only the basics of Python. There is the loops, okay? The if-else statement, and the function. This is a simple usage of Python with Streamlit, okay? I put it on a simple way, and then after that I made a loop to go through the array. So for E in array, if E is less than small equals E. If E is big, is superior than big, is bigger than big, so big equals I, okay? So I've put it that way. If I didn't make if else or if else if, I didn't make those. I choose specifically if and if because there could be a small number, also a big number if they are the same, okay? So I've put it that way. and then I've made a return statement. As you can see here, there is two arguments, not like the other languages, which return in most cases one argument. Python can return multiple arguments, okay? So over here, I've returned only one string, and over here, I've returned two variables, okay? In order to do that, this is the function call. We can return two variables and didn't require us to import any other library, okay? This is the basic Python. So I've called this function and stored the result into this variable result. So I've made an if statement to see if the result is an str, because this one over here will return a string, but this one won't return a string. So if is instance, I've used this function call is instance and passed the result, okay, this over here or those, or this one, big, exactly. So if is instance, the array is empty, okay, else, did you understand that? I've put if is instance to see if it is a string or not. If it's not a string, then I will call the function on another time, okay? And then pass it the small and the big. So I will store the small on the big and the big on two different variables, okay? So the return over here would work for us. So at the beginning, I've checked if it will return a string, and if it won't, then two variables would return in the function call. So as you can see here, there's the big and there's the small. And after that, I wrote with the format function f dot f under columns, the smallest number of the array is under columns small, and the biggest number of the array is big. Okay, so the biggest is big and the smallest is small. And just like that, I was able to display this result, okay? So this is what was required by the beginning. We have took into consideration the empty array and the return statement if the array is empty or not. So yeah, this is how this program works. And now let's jump to the eighth practice. This practice took me a while to make it, okay? So this says, write a program that would append one number into an array, into the array, and remove it from the array, so, okay? So take in consideration the empty array, okay? So as you can see here, this is the solution. So please, before checking the solution, I suggest for you to go and make it with Streamlit and Python, okay? Because you will find some problems, and here I will give you a solution, okay? There may be another solution, but this is an effective solution that's worked for me. So let's jump to the solution. So for example, here is the array, okay? And then I want to add, for example, 25, and add to the list. As you can see here, 25 have been pushed to the list. And now I want to add, for example, 100, and then push up to the list. As you can see, 100 have been added to the list. And now I want to pop the last element of out of the list to remove the last added number of the list. So let's pop it just by pressing this button. As you can see here, the elements are popping out. So yeah, and now it is an empty array. So as you can see, as I click on this button, nothing would happen if because I took into consideration the empty array. Okay, because if you use the pop function on an empty array, it will return an error. But as you can see here, there is no error. So now let's add to the list, and it's working just fine. So how I have done this solution, this one here took me some time, okay? So I've put the array, I initiated the array, the list, okay? I've put the variables into the list, and after that, I've called if array is not state, okay? st.session state. What does that mean? That means to store your array if your array is on the dictionary of the session state, okay? If it's not, then we will create a variable on the dictionary that's called array and give it the value of the array. Because here, if you put it just like Python and put it that way, just like Python, the program won't read it, okay? You will face some problems on the way. It won't work and it will consume your time. So this is over here, the session state. We should use it because the storage, okay, would change, okay. So the variables, this variable would change, okay. If I press, for example, a button, it will change, okay. It won't be the same. So there will be copies of it because Streamlit will make some copies over some layers, okay, in order to make it fluid, okay. So they don't want that. They want it to be fast, okay. That's why they gave us this session state to solve this problem. So I put the array into the session state array dictionary, and then I've put added value equals st dot number input. So I've put an input as the added value. So this is the added value. I've made an input, okay? And then I've added another button which called add to the list. So this one over here, onto the value of the last element, for example, 100, or let's make it 115, and then add to the list. So this is the button, this is the number input, this is the button. If the button is triggered, I will call the session state array dot append added value. So I can do directly array AR over here, this one here. I can't write it just like that. Okay, it won't work because of what I've told you later on. It won't work because of the session layers, okay? So I've called it through the dictionary and then I appended the value to it, okay? And then I've done the same thing with popping. So I've created a button, okay? Pop the last element out, and then if the button is triggered, I've called it if the session state dot array. I've took this one over here because over here take in consideration the empty array, So as you can see here, if the sessions, if st dot session state of our variable array isn't equals to 0, isn't equal to empty, because as you can see, as I've shown you over here, if it's all popped out, there won't be any error. So this is because of that. So if it's not empty, then we are allowed to use the pop function, okay? We can also do directly array.pop because it won't work because of the layers. So I've used it through the function call, and I've used it through a dictionary, the array key, okay? So yeah, after that, I wrote the session array state, the final result, which is here, okay? This will display for us all the elements on the array. So this is it for today. I really hope you enjoyed. You will find the code down the description below as it is, and you will find the web application as it is down on the description, okay? So I really hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.